What's up, guys? Hey Devs is back, and we have another LeetCode video. Doing LeetCode every day until I get a job. That's the plan, anyways. We've done a few problems. We've done the contains duplicate valid anagrams to some top K frequency, and I think we've done a few just normal LeetCode problems. So if we go to the problem list, we can filter by status is solved. So here's all the ones we've done. We've done two mediums, mostly easy, which is customer wealth. I must have done this one a while ago. But anyways, of the problems, the ones we've done on video is the two-sum, remove duplicates from sorted array, find the index of first occurrence. This is the one we're going to do today. I thought it was a fairly simple one. I've been watching football all day, and I've been with family, so if you can see right now it's 9:31. So I wanted to get a video out last night. I got the video recorded like 15 minutes before 12, and then it didn't end up posting until after 12. So this is that video posted today, but it was at like 12:01 when it posted. But today we're going to do problem 28, find the index of the first occurrence in a string. It says, given two integers, needle and haystack, return the index of the first occurrence of needle in haystack, or -1 if needle is not part of haystack. This one's fairly easy in Java, and I'll show you all how in a minute. It's because Java has already implemented this function inside a string, which I think is kind of funny. But the input is the haystack. If it's sad but sad, the needle is sad. You can notice sad appears twice in the array, once at index 0, and then another at index, I think that's 5 or 6, and then we should output 0, so it's the first occurrence that it comes up. This is sad occurs at index 0 and 6, the first occurrence is at index 0, so return 0. Got me a little drinky poo here. You know, it is a Saturday night football game. Stop by the liquor store on the way home. Example 2 is LeetCode. We need to find Lido. So if we'll check Leet, and then if the O doesn't occur, we'll return -1. Haystack and needle consist of only lowercase English letters, so we don't have to deal with any other weird values, but that shouldn't matter unless it specify that we only need to find lowercase letters. But I'll show you all that Java already has this function implemented. So I think it's stack dot contains needle, and then if we run this, it should work for the test cases. We can look at the string methods for the Java. Oracle Help Center is beautiful. String has so many contains char sequence. We're trying to if on this. I think it might be index. Yeah, index of. So if we want to find the index of the needle, if it is there, index of, a little bit slow today, but index of should return the first index value of the needle, as you can see, and then submit this. It has a 0 millisecond runtime. The solution I come up with has a 4 millisecond runtime, so we're going to implement that method. Yeah, so it's fairly easy to use the one statement in Java and complete the problem, but I figured it felt like that was kind of cheating because it's already implemented in Java, but I guess the knowledge of it isn't cheating. But anyways, so what we want is we're gonna convert these to character arrays. So we're just gonna call this string 1, string 1 is equal to haystack dot get is it to char array? Yeah. So we're going to set this to a char array. And then we're going to do the same for the second string. So string 2 is equal to needle dot to char array. And now that we have our two arrays, we want to loop over the haystack array in order to find the needle. So do for int I is equal to 0, I is less than haystack dot length, and then we want to increment I over time. And then so in the for loop we need the index of the first, so we can do int j is equal to 0, and then we can do int k is equal to I for the current value of the haystack, or the current index of the haystack value. So and then we need to do a while loop. So we want to for the first problem, it will check everything will be 0. I mean, k will be 0, j will be 0 for the first pass in the for loop. And it will see that s is equal to s. That's what we want to check, is the index of both those characters. So this would be haystack. This would be string 1, and we don't need it's not a function, it's just an attribute. So we can do while string 1 at k is equal to string 2 at j. We want to stay in this loop, and then each time we want to be sure to increment j and increment k. So what this will do is it will loop through the sad, and it will see if sad is equal to sad. So the first index, the first pass in the while loop, we'll see that s and s is equal, and then it will go in and use these index values for the string itself, and then it will increment by 1, and then it will check if a is equal, and then it will increment by d, and it'll see that d is equal. And what we want to check for is if we want to see if string 2 is at the end. So if string 2 dot length minus 1, because that would be the index, is equal to j. And what this if statement is saying is if j is at the last index, because it will see that the last index of sad, which is what j points to, or Lita would be O, it would see is if that index value is equal to the string index value, when the string index value would be 2. So it would see that both those d's are equal to each other, and then it would go ahead and check if the string's 2.length minus 1 is equal to j. So that would see that we are at the end of the needle string, and therefore we have found where the index resides. So at this point we would return I, because what we're supposed to return is the beginning index, and I would still be 0 at this point. But j and k should be both at 2 as the index value. And then next we want to check if string 1 dot length would be string 1 dot length minus yeah, it'd be the same one. If string 1 dot length equal to k is we want to return -1. So what this is saying is if string 1, if we're at the end of string 1, kind of Lido example, if code wasn't there and we're just checking Leet, it would see that we're at the end of it and we're not at the end of string 2, so we want to return -1 because therefore there's no more values to check inside of LeetCode. And then if it breaks out of this loop, we know that we have not found the value, so we want to return 0, not return 0, return -1 at the end. And this should work for examples. There we go. So you return 0, that's what we wanted, and this one we returned -1 because it's not in the array. And if we submit this code, it should complete. So it took 0 milliseconds, it beats 100%. And basically what this is doing is, instead of using the, because we could just forget about all this code and return the Java's implementation of the contains, or the index of needle. And that would return you the index, the first index of needle, and if needle is not in the haystack string, then it returns -1. But I feel like that's cheating because it's already implemented by someone else, and this problem's LeetCode's about solving problems. So if I was to implement the index of function, this is kind of what I would write. I would turn haystack into a char array. I would turn string to a char array, so we could iterate over the values and not use the string classes, not the string methods at all. I would want to do a for loop to check each value of a haystack, because string 1 is haystack. And so what this is doing is it is checking S, then A, then D, then B, then U, then T, then S, then A, then D, all the way down the line. And then for each pass, we want to check the value S. We check K equal to S, so we can check S. And we set J equal to 0, because we want J to be the first value of the letter we're looking for. So basically what this for loop is doing is we're trying to find, and what the while loop is doing, the first statement, we're trying to find a value in haystack that is equal to the first value of the needle. And as soon as those are equal, we will keep on looping over the while loop, incrementing these index values, J and K, each loop to go through the array. So at first we'll check L and L, and then second we'll check L and E, and each time we're making sure that we're not at the end of needle and we're not at the end of haystack. And then if we get through the entire thing, getting to the end of needle, then we will return I, because we have found the index value that we needed. And because I keeps the index value in the position that we stay at. So even though the while loop inside will loop over the sad, and then in this case it will loop over the leet, it will break out. And in this case, if sad, we can go ahead and change sad. I think we can edit this, no? Copied. Never mind. But I feel like this would be the solution I would implement if I had to write the index of function. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. This one's kind of short and sweet because it is getting late. I've got work in the morning, but we did complete a LeetCode episode today, and we'll complete one tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. Hopefully, until I get a job. I'm going to try to tackle harder LeetCode problems on days I have off and days I don't have school all day. We're going to try to do easier ones, of course, when I have like work all day. And yesterday was kind of a fluke because I used a binary search algorithm, and I know what the binary search algorithm is, but it's kind of hard to explain without visuals, and that's kind of what I put in the description for day 4. And then it was kind of hard to intuitively explain why I returned the left index at the end, but there's probably definitely way better. This series isn't about explaining the LeetCode problems and like teaching them. This is more about me completing them and showing me completing them and my solutions for them. kind of my thought process going through them. And so you shouldn't take everything I say with a grain of salt, or you should take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not a professor. I've been coding in Java for not even a year now. It's been like 8 months, and I coded in it for like 4 months learning the basics, and I haven't programmed in it for the past 5 months now. Just picked it back up this past month. But I think this solution works well. You just want to search each index value. Oh, I already explained that. But I hope you have a blessed night. This video will be posted probably by 10:30. I hope you have a blessed night. Stay safe, keep coding, and I will catch y'all in the next video.